Russian missile strike has killed at least 4 people and wounded another 32, including a child, in the Ukrainian city of Lviv on Thursday. This is the biggest attack on the city's civilian infrastructure since Russia's invasion. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky posted a video which shows the roofs of the buildings destroyed, windows smashed, and rescuers searching through the debris for survivors. He said that there definitely will be a noticeable response. Emergency services said that they have rescued 7 people from the rubble so far and evacuated 64 others. At least 29 people were killed and 19 injured in Mexico after a passenger bus plummeted into a ravine. The bus crashed after the driver lost control of the vehicle. This according to the state interior minister. As per reports, at least 14 people were hospitalized, 5 others were airlifted. Yet another mass shooting has rocked the United States of America. This time, the state in question is Louisiana, where a party marking Independence Day celebrations took a tragic turn. According to the reports, 4 people have been killed and more than 7 others injured. During a block party in Shreveport, Louisiana, over 100 people were gathered for this party. At the moment, the motive behind the shooting is unknown. While investigation is underway, the police authorities have not made any arrests so far. In a tragic incident, at least 17 people, including children, died due to a gas leak in South Africa. The incident took place late on Wednesday in an informal settlement near the city of Johannesburg. As per the emergency services, leakage of a poisonous gas from a cylinder kept in a shanty caused this incident. It is suspected that the gas is nitrate oxide and was being used for illegal mining. The first responders arrived in middle-class suburb of Boksburg. They found scores of people lying across the area. Meanwhile, emergency services were looking for more victims. In Australia, a massive fire has broken out in Melbourne's South Bank. Firefighters are at the scene and commuters have been urged to avoid the area. The blaze broke out at 2 factories in Melbourne's central business district, and 30 firefighters from Fire Rescue Victoria crews are attending. No one is believed to have been inside the buildings, but a community warning has been issued. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken met Haiti's Prime Minister Ariel Henry, where he promised additional security support to the crime-ravaged Caribbean nation. Blinken reaffirmed US aid for Haiti's security forces. Further, he called for international support to help the country combat crime. Since last year, Henry has called for an international force to limit the gangs that control large parts of the country. This is fueling a humanitarian crisis that has displaced tens of thousands. The meeting took place in Trinidad and Tobago, where Blinken attended the Caribbean Community Heads of Government meeting. US Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is all set to arrive in China for a 3-day visit from the 6th to the 9th of July. This is the second high-profile visit by a top Washington official to China in just a couple of months. Her visit comes amid highly ruffled ties between the two super economies over heightened national security, technology, trade and diplomatic differences to escalated tensions in the Taiwan Strait and, of course, the Ukraine war. Yellen's visit is expected to rebuild bridges between America and Beijing. Last month, in a bid to boost the bilateral ties, the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken was in Beijing. The Buenos Aires metro facilities remained empty after workers went on a strike. This was to demand the removal of asbestos in their work areas and reduction in working hours. Asbestos is recognized as being extremely poisonous and is linked to lung and other cancers. According to the Secretary General of the subway workers, in 3 years, there have been 2,500 workers under medical surveillance. 7 workers are living with cancer and 3 have even died from the effects of asbestos. Outside the metro facilities, there was heavy traffic and long queues of people waiting for buses to take them to their workplaces. Hong Kong's legislature voted on Thursday to overhaul district-level elections by drastically reducing directly elected seats. Critics say this removes some of the last vestiges of democratic freedoms. In the China-ruled city, under the amendment bill, only 88 seats would be directly elected by the public. This is down from 452 seats in the 2019 elections. Earlier, a 2020 China-imposed national security law led to the disbandment of several democratic political parties, including the Civic Party. In the latest on Israel demonstrations, Tel Aviv's police commander said he is quitting the force. Ami Eshed cited political intervention by the union cabinet ministers as the reason. He said PM Benjamin Netanyahu's cabinet members want excessive force to be used against anti-government protesters. In a televised statement, he said, and I quote him, he couldn't live up to the expectations of the ministerial echelon. He further blamed the government for breaking all the rules and interfering in decision-making. Mourners gathered on Wednesday in the West Bank city of Jenin after the intense 2-day Israeli military operation that killed at least 12 Palestinians. The bodies of 8 Palestinians were carried through the streets with mourners chanting and carrying flags. The Jenin operation drove thousands of people from their homes, leaving a wide swath of damage. One Israeli soldier was also killed. The army claimed to have inflicted heavy damage on militant groups in the Jenin refugee camp. This is an operation that included a series of airstrikes and hundreds of ground troops. The 14th Dalai Lama celebrated his 88th birthday on Thursday in the city of Dharamshala in India. That's where he celebrated his birthday. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi wished His Holiness a happy birthday via a tweet and shared memories of his meeting him in January of the year 2010. The Dalai Lama has been in India since 1959, when he had left his homeland Tibet due to China's intrusion. Many of his followers seeking refuge had also moved with him to India. The Global Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index, or PMI, has hit a net low since June of 2020, indicating ongoing challenges for the global economic recovery. The PMI measures the activity level of purchasing managers in the manufacturing sector. A reading below 50 suggests contraction, and in June it stood at 47.8, down from 48.3 in May. Experts point to factors like inflation, geopolitical conflicts, financial market turmoil, and trade barriers as hurdles to global economic growth. However, there are some positive signs, including closer economic and trade cooperation within the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership and the potential of expansion of the BRICS countries. Venture capital funding globally sees a significant decline in the first half of 2023, dropping 48% to $173.9 billion. This is according to PitchBook. The decrease is attributed to investor caution and reduced demand amid higher interest rates. Interestingly, the AI sector remains strong, with over $40 billion invested in AI startups in the past 6 months alone, driven by the success of OpenAI's ChatGPT. However, regional disparities are evident, with Latin America experiencing an 86% decline. The US and Europe fell 65% and 69% respectively. Investors cite the current IPO drought and the lack of opportunities as factors influencing their selectiveness. Despite the overall decline, a moderate pickup in demand is anticipated in the second half as more companies seek financing options. A river running through Ikoma city in western Japan turned bright green on Wednesday. This happened in the early hours of Wednesday morning. This concerned local residents as investigations into the incident were ongoing. A video posted on social media showed the Tatsuta River in a lime green color. There were no irritating smells despite the abnormal color. According to public broadcaster NHK, officials found the water to be non-toxic after conducting a sample test. The Ikoma City Hall asked farmers not to use the river's water for agricultural purposes until the water's safety can be confirmed. The global air temperature has reached a record high for the second day in a row. As per reports, US meteorologists say Tuesday was the hottest day on record. This tops the previous day's record high. This time, the average daily air temperature on Earth, and this is on the surface of the Earth, reached 17.18 degrees Celsius. On Monday, the average temperature reached 17 degrees for the first time. The EU Climate Monitoring Unit, Copernicus, says Monday was the hottest day since 1940 when record-keeping began. This is a fresh sign of rising temperatures and escalating climate change, driven by human activity and the burning of fossil fuels. A weather anomaly has shaken Mongolian capital Ulaanbaatar to its core. Torrential rains have transformed this traditionally dry city into a watery battleground. Rains have forced hundreds to flee their homes, As per media reports, electricity has also been cut in few buildings. As a precaution, many roads are closed. The government declared high alert in Ulaanbaatar. As per Mongolia's weather agency, the rain is set to continue for another 2 days. Staying with weather updates, monsoon has begun in South Asia and Pakistan is wary. The incessant downpour has caused disruption in the city of Lahore. The disaster has claimed over 7 lives. Roads have been flooded. People could be seen walking in knee-deep water. Inflatable boats are out on streets. People are trying to escape the inundated areas. Rainfall over 291 mm in just 10 hours broke a 30-year record. Areas including the Muslim town, Garden town and Gulberg are all underwater due to overflowing of the Lahore Canal. The weather department says that the heavy rainfall is expected to continue intermittently in Lahore. Over to some tech news. Cyber criminals have been targeting schools in the United States and have been dumping the data online. The confidential stolen data describes sexual assaults, abusive parentage, and reveals highly sensitive and intimate information about the students. There are stories of victims recalling the trauma of abuse, and if the schools refuse to pay the ransom amount, the data is thrown openly on the internet. The situation is so out of control that the administrators have not been able to inform the victims about the data leak. Ukraine is looking westward to amp up its weaponry. It is equally focusing on its own private players in the ongoing arms race. Innovation is coming from venture capitalists, engineers, and military officials who are pumping out thousands of combat drones in a booming wartime industry. High-ranking military officials are mingling with drone suppliers and engineers to look for the best attack drones. California-based company Aleph Aeronautics is given a limited certification by the United States Federal Aviation Administration to test fly its own flying car. The car, which looks just like another traditional car, was allowed a vertical takeoff. Although the vehicle already has the capacity to fly, it will still take a long time to be used by the masses. Lithuania's capital has a new fleet of autonomous robot carriers, delivering groceries across the city. Founded by nation's delivery startup Last Mile in cooperation with Estonian-based global autonomous delivery innovator Clevin, 3 ARCs will deliver shopping without a driver. This small golf buggy-like autonomous vehicle waits for instructions for the next delivery in store. The ARCs come in different shapes and sizes. They even have a lockable compartment suitable for smaller and larger online grocery orders.